Hi there everyone, and welcome to another Ultramoon Wi-Fi battle. This is a fun battle I had against my opponent Winter here, me using my NU team versus his OU team. And this is how it goes. I did speed up this battle a little because it went on for quite some time. So, of course, I lead off with Masquerade because I want to get up my sticky web. And we see my opponent here leads off with Rule 34, the Goodra. Now, Goodra is a special wall, or special tank, so let's get up the web and see what happens. They go straight on the offensive there with their special attacks, but we're able to take that for no apparent reason. So I decide to go for the Quiver Dance and see what I can do. I won't be able to do much if I don't Quiver Dance, considering how bulky this thing is, but we see the Ice Beam. Ice Beam definitely not going to be good for me, as it's super effective and takes me down despite the special defense boost. So now I switch into Hitmonchan. Given the attacks I've seen, I don't think this Goodra is going to be able to hit me that hard. As we see a Sludge Bomb come out, and luckily we get no poison. And it only did us about just over a third health, maybe a third itself. So here I'm going to set up. If I can set up a fair bit, then Hitmonchan becomes quite the offensive threat. But wow, that Dragon Pulse bringing me down to 1 HP. Man, I was lucky there. And able to retaliate with an Ice Punch, finishing it off. Now in comes the Gallade, and I'm thinking, right, Gallades can get priority with Shadow Sneak, but mine doesn't run that. I like to have better coverage. But will he have priority? Let's see. And yes, he does. Quite unfortunate. I was just going to go for an Ice Punch anyway, which would have been nice damage, but oh well. Now I decide to go into Meganium, a very bulky Pokemon despite its many weaknesses. As we actually see the Sword Dance here come out from Gallade, so this Gallade is much different from my own. And I set up the Reflect. Don't want to be taking too much damage from this thing. And now, realizing he can just keep Sword Dancing, I've got to get out of here and go into something that can threaten him. And that, on this team, is my Dusknoir. As we see, this Gallade is now up to +4 attack. But luckily with the Reflect up, he's only doing double damage to me instead of however much it should be. So I'm able to land the Will-O-Wisp, and I take very minimal damage from that non-stab Shadow Sneak. And now we've halved his attack again, so this Gallade ain't going to be doing much, and I'm able to hit it back with some super effective ghost moves. But he actually switches out here, realizing there ain't too much he can do, and goes into his special wall / tank, another special wall. This thing having slightly higher special defense than Goodra, I believe. I went for the Infestation there actually, to force my opponent to stay in and not switch out, but of course he switched out before I could land it. However, maybe I'm able to do some good things to this damn Florges. Unfortunately, we miss our Will-O-Wisp, and that allows the Florges to start setting up. Now, setting up Florges is not a good thing for Dusknoir. My Dusknoir, of course, is more physically defensive than specially defensive. And yeah, if this thing starts setting up, it's going to hit me hard, so I'm going to have to switch out here and use Meganium. My Meganium is my special defense wall on my team. As we see my opponent going for the Wish and happily setting up. So I'm just going to have to do as much residual damage to this thing as I can. Let's land a Leech Seed and hopefully force this thing to switch eventually. Yes, they continue to set up their Calm Minds. Not a good thing for me. But while I've got my Meganium here, I may as well do this one other thing. Lots of recovery this round. So yes, I set up the light screen. This is my dual walls or dual screens Meganium. And now with that light screen up, we've halved the damage from special attacks. So we're getting health back, and we've halved the damage from special attacks, although this thing has set up to +3 so far. Not good for me, but there goes the Reflect. But I'm not going to worry about that for now. I'm going to switch back into Dusknoir. And if I'm able to land the Infestation, we should be able to trap this thing in. Ugh, continues to go for those Calm Minds at +4 now. However, the absolute walls that are Dusknoir and Meganium do not care too much about these crazy offences we see. And thanks to that Leech Seed, Dusknoir has some better recovery now. So we land the Infestation, no switching out for this Florges, as they go for a Wish, nullifying all the damage I'm doing. But I do have a physical move which should be able to hit this thing decently. We recover some HP, and I wonder what my opponent is going to do next. Probably going to go on the offense now, or is he going to continue setting up? But I will land the Will-O-Wisp to get even more residual damage on this thing. As yes, out comes the Moonblast. Oof, we do not take that very well, despite our light screen and bulk. But at +4, this Florges is going to hit us hard. We get some nice HP recovery from the leftovers and the Leech Seed, so that's all good. And Shooting Star there taking a lot of residual damage. That's about a third of its health in residual damage. But now there's no point in me switching. I need to just go for damage and hope he doesn't go for another Wish. Luckily for me, that's exactly what happens. He decides, I've got to take out this Dusknoir. It's too big of a bulky wall for him to take out with something else later. However, now that we've dealt so much damage to this Florges, I'm able to bring in a big heavy hitter such as Tauros and go for Body Slam. Tauros with Body Slam, of course, you can only get from back in the Gen 1 games. So this is a Virtual Console Tauros that was traded up and or transferred up, and I hyper trained it to make sure it had perfect stats. With its hidden ability Sheer Force and holding a Life Orb, these Body Slams hit hard. I do have a setup move on this Tauros, but I don't want to risk going for it in front of a damn Cinccino. Those things are very nasty to deal with. But against the Drapion, I know this thing's physical attack stat is not the highest, so I'm going to go for it. Unfortunately, my opponent goes for the knockoff. Very unfortunate for me, because that reduces my offensive capability quite drastically, since I no longer get the boost from the Life Orb. However, we still get the boost from the Sheer Force, but that doesn't really apply for the Earthquake I just used. But I went for it since it was super effective, and I was able to continue with a Body Slam. Now out comes Electros, and Electros are fairly bulky. I don't think I'm going to kill it with just a +1 non-Life Orb boosted Body Slam, but I'll go for it. And we do deal some nice heavy damage, so that is good for me. And yeah, now I'm a bit worried, so I switch into Chimecho here. If I can get some nice residual damage, hopefully it can't hit me too hard. But unfortunately for me, we do see it as knockoff. So Chimecho is not appreciating this. We are able to get the wrap off. And can I live another attack? Only just, thanks to my item being removed and knockoff doing less damage. But now that I'm still alive and I outspeed, I'm able to go for a Wish, which is good for me, because that will heal my Meganium when I switch it in, and I let Chimecho go down. So in comes the Meganium, and I should outspeed this thing. It is a very slow Pokemon, and I'm just going to go straight for the Giga Drain. Could have maybe set up screens there, but no. My opponent's last remaining Pokemon is that hardcore Gallade. And since it's burned right now, its attack is reduced by 50%, and if I get up the Reflect, we can reduce it by a further 50%. However, I'm not too worried, because my Meganium is pretty tanky, so I'm going to go for the Leech Seed to make sure I get that nice residual health back. And with the burn and the Leech Seed damage, this Gallade is going to be taking damage very quickly, as it sets up to +4. However, as I use a Reflect, my opponent's Gallade is now only at neutral attack, because the burn halved its attack, the Reflect halved its attack, and he raised his attack by 2. 2 stages, 2 times, so he's only at neutral damage right now. And yes, with a Giga Drain and the residual damage, we can see my opponent here, unless he gets a critical hit, does not really have a chance. Very unfortunate for him to get that Zen head miss earlier, but oh well, Meganium had this in the bag. Good job, Mr. Derp. And we defeated Winter. So yes, thanks for watching everyone, hope you enjoyed.